This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So in the previous session, guys, we have discussed a couple of approaches to load the data into your tables, right? So we have seen a copy into command, and we are copying from the S3 location here. And to authenticate with S3, like you need to give either credentials or storage integration, right? So these two methods we have discussed. And how we have created storage integration here. So we have used this syntax, create or replace storage integration, right? And then we have used that in the authentication part. Okay, so this process I have already explained, like how you'll get this role. Okay, from the AWS IAM, you will create this role, and that role will be given here, and then we'll create the storage integration and update the values of account ID and external ID in the role actually, right? So that's what we did here. So generally, this is the best approach, guys. Okay, using storage integration is the best method because you are not exposing any sensitive information here to the outside one. Okay, right now with this, like we have completed one part here. So now we are discussing data loading, and this is when you use copy into command, it is called bulk loading. Okay, so bulk loading, when we use this bulk loading generally, so when you have huge volumes of data to copy, right? So that is one use case where you use this copy into statement. Okay, and yeah, you're migrating any historical data from another database from let's say you're replacing Teradata with Snowflake, and you need to migrate the data, that historical data which was there for last 4 to 5 years into Snowflake, right? So in that case, you go for bulk loading, right? And let's say you're implementing a new project, right? And you have a source system like Oracle or Postgres, and in that case also you need to migrate the initial data. So that is also can be that can also be done with your bulk loading process. Okay, so here we have discussed in the bulk loading, when your data is there in S3, we have multiple ways to load the data. So till now we have discussed this part, guys. Okay, using the copy into command, directly mentioning the S3 bucket location, we have loaded into table. See here. So if you check the syntax here, copy into table, directly you are mentioning the S3 location here, right? Whether it is storage integration or credentials, you are mentioning the S3 location here. Okay, so that is this part actually. So S3 bucket, directly you are using copy into command. So to copy that into the table, either you use credentials or storage integration. So this part we have covered in the previous session. Okay. Now we are going to discuss another part called external stages. Okay. So when your data is there in S3, how you are going to copy the data using external stages. Okay. So before that, in this particular path, you have any clarifications needed, guys, before going to this path? Any questions you have?
I tried to load the data, but I don't know. I was not able to load it.
Okay. Yeah. So those are common problems. We could debug that maybe at the end of the session. What I'll do is I'll give you the screen sharing access. So we'll figure out what is the error there. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now let's discuss the second part, please. Okay. So in the bulk loading process, when your data is in S3, we can also load the data using an external stage. Okay. So what is this external stage? It's very simple. It is a pointer to your S3 bucket. Okay. Now, when you use this directly S3 bucket instead of external stage, what you are mentioning here, you are mentioning the S3 path, right? And you are mentioning what is the authentication information. You are mentioning what is the file format, right? So these three parameters you are mentioning, right? Let's say you have 100 tables. Let us assume you have 100 tables, and all are like loading the data into same folder. Okay, all are using same credentials. Generally, we use same credentials for every load. And let's say all file formats are CSVs. So instead of repeating this information, what I will do is I'll push this information into a stage. Okay, so now see how I'm going to create a stage here. I'll say create or replace stage. Okay, stage name, you can give any name here, any user defined name, and you'll give what is the path, what is the common path that you are going to use in your copy into command. So what is the common path here in the copy into command? Generally till raw data, right? So in our S3 bucket, we have created raw data folder. Inside that, we are going to create separate subfolders for each table, right? So because this is the common path till raw data, so I will create my stage till pointing to that particular raw, common folder. Okay, and the credentials information, file format information, I'll specify here. Okay, now after creating the stage, now see how my copy into command looks like. Copy into employee from that particular stage name, right? So that particular stage is pointing till raw data. Let's say I want to copy from employee subfolder. So I'll use /emp/. If I want to copy to department table, I'll use from, you need to prefix with and the stage name /dept. Now you're not repeating this file format option. You're not repeating the credentials option, or you're not repeating the entire URL here. Okay, this makes our coding flexible, right? So instead of repeating everything for each and every copy into command, simply I'll create a stage here. Okay, so forget about this part. There is another way to create the stage, but yeah, so this is the way. Okay, first you create the stage, and that stage can be used in the copy into command here. Okay, so did you get this, what I'm talking about, or you have any questions? So this stage, yeah, so this stage is a pointer to your S3 bucket. So now what I'm going to do is the same credentials what we have used here. With that, I am going to create a stage here. Okay, so these are the latest credentials that we have used in the copy into command. So I'm going to use that. Okay, so now I'm going to create the stage. So let me log in, guys. I did not log in into my Snowflake account. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a stage here. Okay. So once you create the stage, to check whether that stage is properly pointing to your bucket or not, whether it is able to access your S3 or not, you can check with list command. Okay, so you can say list ls @stage name. Okay, so if you give this, you should be able to list out all the files that are there in your raw data subfolder. See here. So in raw data, you have employee, you have department, you have orders. There are some tables here. See here. So these many files we have here, right? So I'm able to access from the stage here. Okay, so this is the sanity check that you need to do before running the copy into command. Okay, so just you need to list the stage. Now, if you want to see the properties of the stage, okay, so I'll say show stages. See, this is my stage, which is pointing till raw data only. Okay, so all other options, whether it has credentials or not. Okay, who is the owner of it? Okay, in which region it is created. Okay, someone has some question. Can we save our scripts in Snowflake? Yeah, we can save it. So these worksheets are there, right? So when I go back, so I was using this worksheet, so they are automatically saved here. So when I open it, it opened the previous session worksheet. Okay. So they are automatically saved when you open the new worksheet here. Okay. Right. Now, so once you have created the stage, now simply how I will write the data, how I will copy the data. See here, copy into employee, right? From, you need to prefix the stage name with @, okay, and give this stage name. slash. This stage is still pointing till only raw data, right? So inside our raw data, we have some other subfolders. Okay, let me show you that again in my AWS. So go to S3. So this is the bucket we are using, and inside that we have a subfolder called raw data, and inside raw data you have multiple tables. Now if I want to load the data to my employee table from this particular folder, so I need to give my stage is pointed till raw data. So you need to say stage name slash emp slash the file name. Okay, so now see, I'll say stage name slash emp slash file name. So let's say I want to load this particular. Okay, if I want to do this, so simply this is the thing. So I'm not mentioning anything, just copy to employee from this stage. So my work became simple. So now it is saying copy executed with 0 files process, because this is already processed file. Okay, so for that you can say force equal to true. I already told you, if you want to reprocess the same file, generally you use force equal to true. Okay, so the data is loaded here. So rows parsed are 4, rows loaded are 4 here. Status is loaded here. Okay, so with the stage, your copy to command became very simple, right? So you don't need to repeat the credentials part, file format part, and the prefix of the URL. So everything you have pushed it to your stage here. Okay, so clear guys how I'm using stage to copy the data here. So this part we are discussing. So we have created a stage and we use the copy. Previously, we are directly mentioning the S3 bucket path. We are mentioning the file format. We are mentioning the authentication information. Okay. So you can stop me if you are not understanding. Like, okay, so you can stop and ask the question. Now, I can also create a stage with storage integration again, right? So here I am using credentials. I can also create a stage with storage integration now. See, instead of mentioning credentials, I am going to mention storage integration again. Okay, so see here the difference between these two commands while creating the stage. This is same, URL is same, file format is same, but only the storage integration and credentials are differing here. So I'm creating another stage by using storage integration. Right now, in order to check with this whether this stage is working properly or not, so just list the stage. Yeah, you are able to access. Now the same stage can be used in the copy into command, right? So the stage name is only S resource data. Okay, so I need to put it semicolon. Right, it is loaded, right? So you can create the stage in two ways. Either you can use credentials or you can use storage integration again, right? So this is what you're copying the data from your stage here. Okay. This is the part we have discussed. Okay, so now we have discussed this part, and what is the best approach generally in the real time, right? So we follow the steps in the real time. First, we create a storage integration. Okay, sorry, here. First, we create a storage integration, and then we create a stage with that particular storage integration, and we use that stage in the copy into commands, like for employee, DEPT, for multiple tables you can use in the copy into command. So this is the best practice generally, because we are avoiding using the credentials in this approach. Okay, so create storage integration, create a stage on top of that storage integration, and then use that storage stage in the copy into command. Okay, so clear guys, these two paths. Okay, now if you see this box here, must this virtual warehouse must be running to execute the copy into command. So what does this mean here is when you're running a copy into command, definitely you need to have a virtual warehouse. There should be some warehouse that should be provided by the user itself. So Snowflake does not take any warehouse on its own. You need to provide the warehouse to run this copy into command. Okay, so it uses the user provided virtual warehouse. So why I am specifying this point is we are going to discuss another concept called Snowpipe. Okay, which automatically loads the data into our tables. Okay, during that time, Snowflake does not take our user provided virtual warehouse. Instead, it spin up its own virtual warehouse. Okay, so we are going to see that. Just remember this point. For bulk loading, when you use copy into command, user has to provide the virtual warehouse here. Okay, so now this complete thing is completed. Okay, so this complete box is completed. When your data is there in S3, we have loaded the data in multiple ways. Okay.
Where is this virtual warehouse? How do you provide? Just by selecting there on top?
Yes, either if you're using, this worksheet, so you can select from here, or you can also use one command if you are doing through script. Okay, so you need to say use warehouse. Let's say I want to use another warehouse called compute_wh for this copy into command. So just execute this command. Automatically it will be changed here, and then when you run this particular command, this warehouse will be used to execute the data.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. So what is the significance of that warehouse? It's just that it's just hidden, right? We don't see anything about the warehouse, right? So
yeah,
it's just
so
there.
we are not here. Yeah, so you need to set it. Okay, so when you log in into the session, automatically one warehouse will be used. Okay, so when I log in into my session, maybe it has selected the particular compute WHR test warehouse. So that
Correct.
depends on the role you use. But if you want to use a specific warehouse, you can mention it.
But you are saying, right, user warehouse should be there. So
Yes, user warehouse should be there.
But what if it just standard compute was there? So
see, if you're not mentioning anything, right? If you're not mentioning anything, by default there will be some warehouse. If that warehouse is not set,
if that is okay, it's okay, right? So it can be there.
It can be there, yeah. So that warehouse will be used. But when you log into the session, let us assume there is no warehouse set.
Oh.
What happens?
Then
so it will not execute the copy. Yes. But there is another way of loading the data using Snowpipe that does not use this warehouse. Okay, even you don't set the warehouse, it uses its own warehouse. Okay, so that we'll see that. Okay, that is why I wanted to stress on this point. Right? Any other questions? Say? Okay. Now your data is there in S3, you are copying the data. So 99% of the time you will be using a cloud and your data will be available in S3 and you will be loading the data. But what if, let's say you're working on a POC kind of project and your cloud is not set up, or let's say you're migrating from Teradata to Snowflake and that Teradata is running on a separate on-premise server, and that server has some files and you want to copy the data into your particular Snowflake database. Right? So your data is not available in S3. Instead, the data is available in your local file system. So how you are going to load the data into your Snowflake table? Okay, so your data is not available into S3. So we are not using any cloud storage now. Let's say my data is available on my desktop only. Let's say I have this file. So how I am going to load the data without involving S3? So that is this part. Okay, loading the data from your local storage. Okay, so to do this, you need a separate tool, guys. Okay, you need a separate command line tool called SnowSQL. Okay, it's a command line tool. It's not a user interface like this. It's not a graphical user interface. You need to run some commands for everything. Okay, so how you are going to install that command line tool, and I'll show you now. Okay, so first let us learn the basics about that command line interface tool, SnowSQL, and then we'll come back to this particular data load. Okay. So I'll show you how to install that command line interface tool. So it is there. If you go to classic console, the old console, is readily available in the help section. So go to help here. So click on this downloads. Here there is a CLI client called SnowSQL. Okay, so just click on the Snowflake repository. You'll find the installation files here for that command line tool. Okay, so I'm using Windows machine, so I am going to download my Windows installation file here. So this is the installation file that we use for installing SnowSQL on our machine. Okay, so download any of the latest version 20212223 and just double click this file. It will automatically install SnowSQL on your machine. Okay, so how to make sure that this SnowSQL is already installed on your machine is when you go to your users directory in Windows. So if you are installing on Windows, so you have OS users and your home directory, right, with your username. There you will see a .snowsql folder here. So if you are seeing these folder and these files here, your SnowSQL is installed properly. So I have already installed it, so I am not installing it again. So if I want to install it again, I need to just double click it and just it's a less 1 minute process. Just click next. It will automatically install here. Okay. I'm cancelling this because I have already installed it. Now, in order to ensure that it's installed properly, first the first step we will check is whether that is there in your user subfolder. Okay, users and your home directory generally. We call it as home directory in your Linux. So here there should be some folder and these are the files. Okay. And another way to check is you can go to command line. Command prompt and type SnowSQL here. Okay. So this should give some response with the help. Okay, actually it is directly logging in because I have done some setup. Let me remove that setup. My configuration file. So generally, when you install this particular SnowSQL initially, you'll get this file with all hashes. Okay, I have uncommented this. So hash means commenting. Okay. So this will have connection parameters. We'll discuss this later. But when you initially install this particular SnowSQL, you'll see this file here. And when I type SnowSQL, you'll get some help here with all the commands. See here. So there are multiple commands. It will show you the inline help here, how to use that. Okay. So this ensures that SnowSQL installed properly on my machine. Okay. So it's a command line tool. From here, now I'm going to connect to Snowflake. Okay. So how I'm going to connect to Snowflake using SnowSQL commands. Okay. So let me show you the commands here. Right. So see here, we'll mention generally the minimum commands that we need to mention here is the account name and the username. Okay. So now what is my account name here? So generally the identifier and the region that you're using will be comes under your account ID. So you'll say SnowSQL -a that account and the username that you want to use. Okay. So if you give this command, it will try to connect to your Snowflake database. Okay. So what is my account ID here? This is my account ID.
The dash you mean user?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, -u is for user. Okay. So these are the minimum parameters that you need to pass: account and user. You can pass other parameters also, but first initially we'll log in with minimum parameters. So it should ask for password. See here, I have logged into my particular Snowflake session here. Okay, now you can run any SQL statement here. But see here, the database and schema are not set up. That means when you log in into your particular Snowflake session from the user interface, you are choosing this, right? whether it is a new user interface or old user interface, you're choosing the things from your drop down here, right? So here I was telling you, you can use this command, use database test, or you can say first, you can say use role to make sure it is account admin, use role account admin, and use database test. So now it will change. It will change to test.public. So public is the default schema. So let's say I want to use the schema called landing. Use schema landing. So these use commands are equal to choosing the database schemas from your drop down here. Okay, so you are going to choose that, right? Your database name test, your schema name landing. Public will come by default. You need to choose your own schema here. Okay, so this way you are setting up the context here. So this is called context. Same way, for SnowSQL, you need to use these commands: use role, use database, use schema. Okay, right? So now I can run any queries. Let's say I want to run a select query. I can simply say select star from here. Okay, we don't have any data.
Either that or you can use it in from the config file, right?
Yes, that I'll show you. Okay, first I'm showing you how to use with the options, but generally we use the config file only. Okay. Right. So now I have logged into my SnowSQL using your account ID and the username. You can also mention these parameters before logging in. Now you're logging in and setting these values, right? So instead of this, while logging in into Snowflake, you can also mention that. So how we are going to do that is, so let me log out of this particular session. So to log out from this, you need to mention exclamatory quit is the command to come out of this particular session. So now you're back to your command prompt. Okay, so now in order to mention all the parameters, you can do like this. SnowSQL -a is for account, -u is for user. Now I can add -d is for database, -s is for schema, -w is for warehouse, -r is for your role. Okay, so all those 4 parameters I mentioned here. So I want to log in with account admin here. So now once I log in with these parameters, I don't need to use that use commands. There is some problem. It is saying got unexpected extra arguments. Let's get -a -u oh sorry -d is -d is yeah. So it is still asked for password. I'll show you how to set up passwordless authentication. I mean, we'll store it in the config file. So see here now, as soon as I log in here, you're seeing the database schema and the role is also set. So if you want to see what is the current role, simply select current role. Okay, so everything is set by default. So you can pass these parameters, or once you log in with minimal things, and you can also use this use commands here. Okay, so this is the way that you log in into Snowflake using SnowSQL. Okay, but now every time it is asking for password, right? Now I don't want to mention the password every time. Just I will type SnowSQL. Okay, there is a question. You can ask the question directly. If I want to write query by joining tables from 2 schemas, yeah, you can write it. It's equal to your user interface, guys. Okay, so whatever you do here, that you can do from here also. You can join. You can write any SQL query here. Okay, just it's a different tool to connect to Snowflake. Okay, right now I don't want to give the password every time. I want to do it from a configuration file. So for that, I told you, as soon as you install that SnowSQL, you'll see a folder called .snowsql in your home directory. So there you'll find a file called configuration file. Okay, SnowSQL and config. Okay, you can change that schema, not a problem. You can qualify that. while let's say your employee table is in one schema, department table is in another schema, you can mention schema 1 dot employee comma schema 2 dot department. You can do that. Cross schema access you can do. Okay, just this is the default values that that you are setting here. Now I will go back to configuration file, and if you see this particular configuration file, you will see a first section called connections. So here you can set up all your parameters here. So now I don't want to set up, I don't want to pass through SnowSQL. Just here what I will do is I'll use this configuration file to log in into my machine. Okay, to log in into my Snowflake account. So what I will do here is, here account and region are separated. Okay, so my account ID is this TD 38347, and this is my region, and this is my username, password, database, schema, warehouse. So everything I need to uncomment. So I have already given this for the previous session. Generally we'll edit this. Okay, so what is the role you want to use? Okay, so these parameters are enough. Just save this config. Okay, now I'm coming out of this. Okay, just type SnowSQL here. You don't need to give anything. Type SnowSQL. See here, it automatically logged into my Snowflake account, because if I type SnowSQL, it will go and read the config file and read this connection section and log in into my particular account here. Okay, so this is the use of your configuration file. Generally in the real time, we do this, we put this configuration file in a secure location, or it will be accessed only by specific people. Just we type SnowSQL command, we don't use any other. Okay, so clear guys, are any questions? Yeah. On the configuration file. Okay, yeah. So this is one way to log in into your Snowflake account. And there is another section in your configuration file called customized connections. Okay, so now let's say I want to log in with a different user ID or to different Snowflake account also. Okay, let us assume in the real time we have different Snowflake accounts. We have development, we have a test, we have production. So I can define multiple connections for multiple databases here. So I can repeat this particular section. Maybe for dev, this is the connection. For test, maybe I will define a different connection. For production, I may define a different connection here. Okay, so these are customized connections. These are customized connections. So now I will use the same account, but with a different user I will log in. Okay, so how to do that? So just I will remove this. I want to log in with the same account. So here again, for account name, you can combine the account ID and the region, or you can also have account name and region separately. So same thing. And then username. So this is our username, right? Let me check whether this username is existing in our account. I think user one. We don't have a demo user. Let me reset the password. I forgot the password for this. So account admin can reset any password. Okay. So now what I'll do is, what is the user ID that I entered? Demo user, right? So let us use demo user. Demo underscore user. Okay. Now I want to log in with demo underscore user with the same account. Okay. This is the password. These are the other parameters, and the role is OLAP RW I want to use. Okay. So OLAP RW is a role given to this particular user in our initial session, right? So now, in order to connect with these particular credentials, you need to mention one more option. Okay. So come out of
the role. Is the role and all case sensitive?
No, it's not case sensitive.
Okay.
It's not case sensitive. So SnowSQL, you need to say -c. -c is the connection name actually. So what is the connection name is, I have given this connection name. Okay. .dev, .prod, .test. So you can give any name. So I am giving So now it will go and read my configuration file. It will search for this particular connection. Okay, it has some problem. It is saying permission denied. This is okay. Failed to connect. Incorrect username or password. So now I have reset the password. The demo user, right? Let me reset the password again. In some spaces. It's asking for new password because I have changed maybe. Let me first enter this. Let me log in from user interface first. So the username is demo_user. Password is this. Oh, because I have okay, it has expired. Let me reset the password. Okay, there is the expiration policy for the password. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll give the updated password here. I think now it should work. Yeah, so now you logged in with demo user with the test and learning. So this is a customized way of connecting to your Snowflake. Okay, you can define any number of connections here in the customized section. Okay, clear guys? Are any questions here? Here. Okay. Now let's understand another third section of your configuration file called variables. Okay, so now you can use some global variables in your configuration file and access them in your SQL commands. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can define the variable here. Let's say I have defined a variable, example variable equal to 27, or I want to define a stage name is this, or bucket name is this. So I can use them in my SQL commands, right? So in the copy into command, instead of giving the stage name, I can give this variable name so that it will take this particular stage name. Okay, so how you are going to do that? So for this, you need to add one extra setting, like set variable substitution equal to true. Okay, so let's do that in the session level. Put this. Yeah, so you need to mention this particular command. Okay, set variable substitution equal to true, then only you can access the variables here. Okay, come out of this and log in again. Now what I'll do is I'll put that variable substitution equal to true setting here. Now if I want to select what is my example variable, you need to give ampersand symbol, example underscore variable. See here, the value is 27 here. So I have defined that variable in my configuration file, and that value will be used here. Okay. So generally, if you want to use some common properties, you can define that here. Okay, a stage name or bucket name. So if it is a character value, you need to give a single quote. Select single quote ampersand bucket name. Okay, so this way you can access the variables also. Okay, Clear, guys? Or any questions?
Can you repeat that one once?
Which one? Variable for?
Yeah, initially what you said about variable. Why do we?
Why do we use this variable sets? Let's say
Yeah,
in the
where do we? Not why. Where do we use it? Yeah.
where do we use? Okay, so let's see this particular command, and here I am hard coding the bucket name. Okay, so I don't want to hard code the bucket name. In future, maybe that bucket name will be changed, right? Or let's say you're using copy into command. Then the copy into command also you're using this bucket name. So instead of repeating the bucket name here, I'll use a variable here. Say ampersand bucket underscore name. So from the configuration file, it will read that bucket name and it will replace it here. So in future, let us assume our bucket name is changed. I don't need to change in multiple copy into commands. I don't need to change everywhere where I use the bucket name. Simply, I'll go to the configuration file and I'll change the bucket name so that it will be reflected in all the copy into commands, right? So that is the purpose of your variable, right? So you'll declare it once and you'll be using in the multiple places. And if you want, if you change that variable, it will be reflected everywhere automatically. Got it?
And this is at the system level, right? For each individual user, this would be set up.
Yes. This is a system level. You're right. Any other questions, guys? Yeah. So I'll stop it here today, and we'll discuss the remaining part in tomorrow's session. And someone was saying you have some issues, right? I'll give the presenter access. You can share, and we'll debug that. You're okay. Who is that? Like you are unable to copy the data.
Yeah, this is Kuldeep here.
Yeah. You wanted to try now?
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Let me make you presenter. I mean, these are the common problems that we face. I mean, everyone will face, so it will benefit everyone.
See my screen?
Yeah, I'm able to see your screen.
Okay. See. Many windows I'm like.
Oh.
That's right. Okay.
You can double click on the worksheet that we used. That 22 minutes ago, right? First one answer.
I think it's this one.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So I'll show you what I did. I know I skipped one step, but I don't know how to do that. So I created a warehouse.
Right.
It's called employee data warehouse.
Yeah,
and I created a schema in it, and I created a table here for me to load the data.
Correct.
And
so when you run the copy into command, what is the error you're facing? Let's start from that. Let's try to debug that. Can you run the copy into command directly? Error assuming AWS role. Please verify the role and external ID are configured correctly in your AWS policy. So after creating the storage integration, did you update the policy there with the external ID and AWS?
Yeah, that's the part I wasn't sure of. When I ran this, it said it completed.
Right. So you need to do one extra step. Describe integration and the integration name. You do that. DESC.
This one?
No, not this one. DESC. Describe integration. I'm saying. Okay. DESC. integration, and the integration name you can use, that AWS S3 source data.
This one?
Yeah, not this one. The integration name. You gave AWS S3 source data, right? Go.
This one?
Yes, that integration name. Yeah, execute that command. Right. So you have this external ID, right? Storage external ID in line number 7. Copy that.
Storage
7.
external, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So copy that and say paste it somewhere. Just Control C and that. Right. And also this one, your 5th one, IAM user ARN. Right. Now go back to your AWS. Yeah. Go to IAM to the role. I mean, where you have created this. Roles. Yeah. So what is the role that you are using? S3 access. Right?
S3 access.
Right. Click on that and go to trust relationships.
Relationships. Okay.
And edit the trust policy. Edit trust policy. That button is there. Right? Right. Now you copy the external ID and that AWS value. That is external ID. Here, external ID. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the value. AWS account ID. Generally, this in real time is done by administrator. Yeah, this
Is it the same thing that you told us 5 zeros and also later to be replaced?
Yes, you can do that. That's a dummy value, right?
Yeah.
Can give any value.
Yeah, it's do I have to remove the root or it's with the root?
Everything. Remove everything. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now save it. Update policy. Yes. Now copy. Run the copy command.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So executed successfully, but 0 files processed. Your file might be with lowercase or your path might be wrong here. So can you show me the S3 bucket, like Postgres source and the file name?
What is that? Sorry.
Can you show me that Postgres source in S3? In AWS S3? Go to S3. Yeah, you have created directly in the bucket, right? So you did not create a folder called Postgres source. So please remove that in the copy.
Which
directly
one?
in the bucket. Go back to copy into. Yeah, there you give Postgres source / Postgres source.
Oh,
right?
okay.
This is not there. Remove it. Yeah, now run the command. Yeah, so it is trying to load the data, but the structure and the table is not matching. Maybe it's a problem with. Yeah, so you can rectify that and load the data. Okay.
Okay. I think I can check on that one.
Yeah.
The table somewhere here. Yeah, this is the data that I have, and I think I put all of them as character 10 or something. Because of that, maybe it's not accepting. I think I have to use it as varchar. I think then it should.
Yeah, even remove that header part. Remove that header part.
Oh,
And you
okay.
can try. Okay.
Okay.
Because it is trying to assume that as a data. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Remove the entire row.
Is there a way for us to tell it specifically that it has
Yes, we have an option called header. Skip rows actually. Skip the rows. We have the option. I'll show it in the copy. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. I think I can remove that and try to plug in.
Cool. Yeah. So let's meet tomorrow
Okay.
and discuss with the other part. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.